G'day guys, welcome back, and look at what I have here today. Yep, it's kind of like an alternate dimension, isn't it? So this is a 7Friday watch, and look at this very interesting box. It's like a packing container. I think if you had a toy forklift, you could actually stick the forks under there and kind of cart this around like a proper crate, and this is made of actual solid wood. This is not any faux finishing. So let's just have a look. Carry with caution, 7Friday Company Limited there. You can write your name on or print it on if you want, I suppose, at the back there. And then I suppose these are watchmaking machines, and then there are more packing instructions up and down, open in this direction. And then you got that sticker there, which actually is NFC. So straight away, there's some technology that's extra in this near field communication for identification of the watch, just to make sure that it is an authentic watch. So you can have that feature and check that if you are concerned about whether this is a fake. So this is the box. Let's get it open. Shout out to Graham, again, local friend and supporter who made this watch available for review on the channel. So thank you again, Graham, for your generosity in this. So as you open it, there's this foam thing, and again reminding you there's an NFC app feature that you can scan and register your watch with. Okay, just put that away. Kind of this nice bright colored microfiber watch cleaner, 7Friday. Okay, fresh from the press, it says. All right, that's just a microfiber cleaner. All right, put that aside, and here we have the watch. So take a look at that. This is what we have in hand. Let's just get it out of the egg carton packing here. All right, so take a look at that. So this is the 7Friday V series. This model is V101, so that's its designation. And we'll get into the details, of course. And just to finish with the box here, there's a manual down the bottom there. I'll just kind of like take that out. You've got some decorative stickers that you can use for various purposes if you want. So a nice little bonus. Again, NFC sticker at the front, and you can see it's multilingual, and the English section is the first part. Right, it goes through pretty much the current calibers, as I believe. Right, just to let you see the details. And of course, with this watch, it needs to tell you how to read the time with the additional principles. So, I'll go into that in detail as I talk about the watch. So, guys, that's the unpacking. So let me now put the camera lower down, because it's a bit awkward doing it at this distance, and I'll get back to you. Okay, so here we are at a more comfortable distance for doing this particular review. So take a look at that dial. I'll just let you eyes rest on that and look at the detail for a little bit here. So the V101 is not the first watch of the company. I think they had some watches that were released much earlier. 7Friday, as far as I understand, a company that was established in 2012, and it comes out of a Swiss design studio called Studio Divine. But they're pretty straight up about their origins, and you can see some of that on the case back here. So they're headquartered in Switzerland, but honestly, they do say manufacturing is in China and Hong Kong, and then movements are sourced from Japan. And as far as I know, almost all, if not all, their watches use Citizen Miyota movements. All right, so that's a little bit about the company. Let me know if you have more knowledge about 7Friday, because I don't really know much about them. This particular model has an MSRP of 1382, so 1,382 US, but of course you'd be able to find it on discount on various sites if you just do some simple searching. Links below to what I can find. The movement in here is actually the Miyota 82S7, so it's got a number of complications which you might immediately see on the dial here. 21,600 beats per hour, 21 joules, and rated at 40-hour power reserve. So complication wise, you can see it's got a small second dial, right? So at the 4:30 position, so let me just move the minute hand out of the way here for the review. Okay, so at the 4:30 position, you have that small seconds dial ticking away. right? That's really what the small seconds is, but of course modified to this additional disk principle, which this watch uses to display time. It's got a 24-hour disk at the I guess 10:30 or 10 o'clock position, and let me just show you how that works. I'm just going to turn this forward, and you can see that light disk will turn dark to indicate going into nighttime. So that's really what that is. Okay, so let's just put it at a certain time spot here. So that's turning into nighttime ostensibly. That's how that is implemented to show 24-hour day-night. And it's got an open heart. You can see at the roughly 7:30 position there. You can see that oscillator going, as well as little parts of the escape wheel there at just above the 6 o'clock position. Okay, so that's really a bit of an open heart that's been shown here. Now this movement does have manual winding, and right here in the 0 position it's manual winding, but it doesn't hack. If I pull it out, that seconds hand just keeps going. The case is rather large. It is 49.7 millimeters, and it's actually wider than it is tall. So 49.7 is the width, 44.3 millimeter is the height, and the thickness, including the case back as well as the domed glass there, is actually 15 millimeters. Now it says 11.3 millimeters on the website. I think that's just talking about the case metal without the back and the dome. I think you've measured the whole thing. It is 15 millimeters, and I've used a caliper to measure that. So that's factual there. The lugs are also massive, in keeping with the width of the watch. It is 28 millimeters wide on the lug there, and it's a lugless kind of case design, or at least the lugs are not visible from the front, but you can see it's kind of like recessed into the case of the watch there. As you look at the case, right, the top, I guess the bezel, as you call it, has radial brush pattern, and the sides have kind of a horizontal brushing pattern, but you can see there is a 45-degree bevel all the way around that has a polished finishing and with a matte finishing in this little insert here with the arrows pointing to the quick release bracelet system, which we'll get into in a little while. Now the back plate is also interesting. Now you've seen this as I flicked it over just then. It's secured by 4 screws, but it's really quite an interesting little design here. You can see here, 7Friday automatic. It gives you the case dimensions, right? I don't know if you can see that. Try to get it showing. It gives you the bracelet width tapering to 24 millimeters, 3 atmosphere rating for the actual water resistance. I think that's also talking about the near field communication security, and then design and concept in Switzerland, construction China, Hong Kong, engine from Japan, and a world map with arrows pointing. So that's quite fascinating. I've something that's quite easy to stare at. If you talk to your friends about this watch and hand it to them, that's a bit of a conversation piece at the back as well. So that has been something that's quite a little bit of a feature with the screw-in back plate and a non-screw-in crown. You saw it is just 30-meter water rating, so you're not supposed to submerge this watch by any means. Now, the most interesting thing possibly is actually the dial. It is multi-layered. It's got applied galvanic elements. That's what they say. I'm not really sure what that exactly means, but I presume it's some sort of metal finishing. So the 4 layers at the very bottom where the numbers are, they call that deep stamp silver azurage. So that's the concentric circles. I'm not sure if that is coming through here, but that silver bit at the bottom where the 1, 2, 3, 4 is, there's a bit of concentric circle stamping on there. And then the actual applied numbers and markers, right? The 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, that's called brushed rhodium. It's got a vertical brush pattern. Next layer up is, I guess, where this bit is, where the small seconds indicator are, and the day-night disc where there's a hole there. They've called that a vertical brush silver white. And then the last thing is where the 7Friday printing is sitting. They call it opaline silver white. Okay, so there are 4 different layers, quite interesting. And then lastly, they also describe the dial ring. So that deep gray, that dark gray, they call that I guess a circular brushed gunmetal dial ring. All right, so a lot of detail on the dial here, multi-layered, certainly quite eye-catching and something that you can talk to people about. And perhaps, people who are interested in watches will look at this and kind of stare at it and ask out of interest, what is this and what this is composed of. So quite interesting. Above all this is the domed mineral glass there. So it's not sapphire, it is mineral, which means it's going to be prone to scratching in this configuration. Okay, now, how do you tell the time? That is something I've been fascinated with. And when Graham first showed me a picture of this, I kind of said, so what's the time? I can't tell. Now, it's an additional principle. So to tell the hours, you have to look at the central disk. So you can see the 8 there is pointing just after 2. So you add it up together, that's 10. And then you look at the minutes, which is a traditional central minute. So it's about 10:15. And you would say 10 p.m. because it's night on the day-night disk. And if you want to read the seconds, similar principle here. So that's coming past the 0. Okay, so 0 is now pointing roughly at 10 seconds. So that's 10 seconds, 11, 12. If it was the next one up, it'll be 20 seconds. And let me just wait until that comes through. So you can see the 20 is coming through now. As it comes down to 0.25, that would be 25 seconds. So that's the principle of the addition. I think you wouldn't possibly be using the seconds, or at least by the time you use it, you'd kind of like lost the time. But at least for the hour, you kind of get the idea, right? That's 10 past. If I change it, okay, let's just go past. All right, so this is absolutely 12 midnight now. And sorry, that's not 12 midnight, that's 0 plus 1, so that's 1 a.m. All right, 2 a.m., 3 a.m., and so forth, 3 a.m., etc., 3:30 a.m., and what you will. That's how the time is told. Let me know what you think about that, because it does not lend itself to telling the time easily. If you're in a hurry, I guess you would lose some time, and certainly this would not qualify for easy time telling requirements such as in aviation watches. Okay, what's next? Let's move on. The band, you've seen it already, right? It's leather, right? It's got a stainless steel buckle in the same pattern as the rest of the watch. What does it say there? Genuine leather, SEVENFRIDAY handmade is what it says. And it's got that quick release feature, so I'll show you that now. So that button there with that arrow pointing to it is where the quick release is. Use something that you can't scratch the watch with. So this is a toothpick that I have. So let's just get that. All right, and there you go. Easy. Push it in and it pops out. The spring bar is in here, but to put it in is quite easy. You kind of pop it in on one side, and there's a little recess there you can see. You just kind of push it in with your thumbnail and it should click. And there we go. So quick release and quick reinsertion, for both sides, as well as the actual buckle has the same feature. So presumably they have a range of interchangeable straps and buckles that they will make available for you in this watch. Okay, so that's the watch. Now, what's been enjoyable about this? I think it's a fascinating alternative design, and really you can't deny that. The case shape, yep, you got other squarish watches, but this is not like any other thing. They haven't really copied anyone else, I think. The dial design, the way they tell the time is alternative. Not everyone will like it, but it's definitely something different. And, just the amount of work and attention that they put into the dial design is really quite interesting. Just to look at it, look at the different layers and the work, the materials, the finishing. It is a talking point. Even the case back is a talking point, right? It's really very different, a lot of detail, and kind of like a world map of the company activity. And I like the transparency. They've come it's not Swiss made. They say they're headquartered in Switzerland, but it's made in China, and it's a Japanese movement. Straight up and down, no hiding anything. This is what they are, and that's something to be admired, I think. And the bracelet is also interesting. The way that they've implemented this quick release. I mean, the leather is okay. I think it's actually not too bad. This is one of the better leather straps that I have. But it is leather. I'm more of a metal bracelet guy, but for what this is, it's actually pretty good. I've quite enjoyed it with this quick release design. I guess lastly, I will say The multi-layer is also something that is quite fascinating to me, just the way they described it, the different, I guess, appearances and colors. And this comes in multiple other configurations, and those other configurations have different color finishing and materials as well. And you can look at the descriptions on the website. Now, what are the biggest weaknesses of this watch? Well, I think very obviously is it's not the easiest watch to read. It's actually quite difficult to read. And if you're not familiar with it, you possibly won't be able to work it out, or it will take you quite a while to work out how to tell the time on this. And even if you're used to it, the other day I did fall asleep in a nap with this, and I woke up wanting to know what time, and I kind of gave up. I just picked up my phone after the first minute because I just couldn't work it out after waking up from a sleep. Okay, and then lastly, I would say, I've mentioned this already, it's domed mineral, right? They haven't pushed for sapphire. At this price point, you might kind of expect maybe, come on guys, why haven't you given this a sapphire? If you're going to make it domed, it's going to be attracting scratches. And that, I think, is a significant weakness that is worth taking note of. So guys, here we go. There's the 7Friday V1 model. Let me know what you think if you have this watch. If you have any 7Friday watches, any experience with the company, I would love to hear it. Guys, if you enjoy my videos, do consider subscribing. I'm putting out new content weekly, always aiming to be unbiased and objective about all things horology. Thank you again for watching, and as always, I will catch you next time.